Good evening, golf fans. It is the eve of the start of the 2026 Masters. Dane is joining me again. Um, how prepared are you? How many lineups have you built so far?
Yeah, so I really haven't built very many. I try to wait till I have all the info I can have, and I'm only building the. I got the 2 tickets to the 3-3-3-3 this week, so that's what I'm focusing on.
That's the big one. Heck yeah. Go and take that one down. So, welcome everyone in. Doing the live show, much asked for by everyone. If you haven't checked out the preview show that we did on, I believe it was Tuesday, right, Dane, where we got together, talked forever.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
we broke everything down from course history to current form. We looked at the live guys. We looked at different stats in our models was really the core of what we looked at in that preview show. So if you want to check that out, make sure to head over to our channel here. I also put the link up in chat. You can go over and check that out. Dob, how are you doing? He's got the bomb up, big old Jaeger bomb. I wasn't able to go to grab some Jägermeister and Red Bull before we started, so I'm just drinking right now some Louis Bauer sparkling lemonade is what I got going instead of Jaeger bombs tonight. But welcome in everyone. Hey Bob, Bob's here. Welcome, bud. He seems to be here every single show, whether it's NASCAR or PGA or college basketball. So we absolutely love having him here. So what we're going to do in this show here, just live, we're going to go over the weather one more time. We're going to talk about some round one. Dane's going to talk about some matchups that he likes here as well. We'll look at some showdown stuff. I've got almost all of my showdown player pool up right now. Yeah, cheers, Dob. That's awesome. Coors Latte. I'd love to see. I'm going to have to search what that is because that just sounds delicious. All right. So, first of all, let's go over, let's head in, let's have a look at the updated weather. And we'll go over here. So it actually looks pretty amazing. Nothing's changed. Actually, the one thing that has changed is Thursday. Some of that early wind that we seen when we were previewing the show, we seen kind of some higher gusts that kind of carried over from Wednesday. As you can see here, there's a little gusty on Wednesday morning that kind of started to taper off today, this afternoon, I mean. And then tomorrow looks a little bit better. Pretty steady wind all the way across. Friday is very much the same, even less wind. We got temps in the morning in the 60s. A little bit cooler down into the 50s for the early guys, and I do have the tee times posted already. A little bit cooler on Thursday morning as well, but it does get up really nice in the afternoon. So I guess in terms of showdown, round one, we're going to talk about some round one leaders and stuff like that. In terms of that, Dane, does this weather, in terms of that cold weather, and I know we think about this every year, we don't have to worry about the wind here. Does that temperature in the morning kind of have you stay away from some guys maybe in showdown or looking at round one leaders and kind of go for that afternoon wave where it's a little bit warmer?
yeah. Probably so. I think luckily there's not a ton of people super early in the morning that I would have wanted to target for that anyway. Ortiz is a guy that I kind of like early, really early. And then like Kitayama is kind of the next guy there, and he's right around 9 o'clock. So he might play the first, early holes in that type of cold, but a lot different than like a normal week where we have split tees going off and tons of people six going off at every tee time. We've only got three, and it's really spread out throughout the day. So yeah, probably off the early guys if I was looking at that, but don't think it's going to drastically affect it in my opinion.
No, especially for tourney long. I've got my core
Yeah.
done. I've got my rankings in each tier up right now. I've built about 7 lineups so far. I had to build my lineup for Dobbs tournament here, and thank you for posting that. I don't know if you want how full it is, Dobb, but if you want to throw that link to that DraftKings in chat here, you're more than welcome to get some more people in. Should be a good one. $10 tournament to just do for fun. We haven't done it in a while, so this is going to be a really good one to come back to. Absolutely love it. But yeah, back to full tournament. I've got all that set up. But when it comes to first round leaders, and I'm going to look at some of that in a minute, it's not going to sway me too much. Maybe 5-10 degrees, maybe the early guys I'm going to worry about. But like you said, we're not worried about waves this week. Everyone starts on hole one, they progress through all 91 players. So maybe a few more in showdown. I might look towards if it's just like a 1v1 and you got a guy early Thursday morning versus a guy maybe I don't know, 10, 20, 30 tee times down the road there. I'm okay with going that route and kind of splitting it there, but it's really splitting hairs at that point. So yeah, so moving on, we're going to look at some ownership projections here as well. We've been crunching the numbers for a few days. We got that up on the sheet. And as we see here, Dane, I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to sort this by highest to lowest that we've got in our projection system. And it's got right now 4 guys in the 20 plus range. And I think there's probably a few guys more that are probably going to end up there. But what it's kind of putting together, we got John Rahm at the top, 25.9, and I've seen that quite a bit across the industry. Makes a lot of sense. His form coming in, his Masters track record. Same with Shoffley, 22% here. He's got comes in with top tens in 3 of his last 4. He's got good course history. Fitzpatrick. Is there anything that you see in terms of these top, say, 10 guys in ownership that you would maybe move around, or you think are going to be a little bit different? Like I see Rory's quite a bit down here. I don't know if you agree with that, Scheffler over Rory. I think it's probably going to be flip-flop myself. I might end up making a manual adjustment to that just because we talked about this in the preview show, how the 2v2, when you're looking at Scheffler and a guy down in that 7K range for a total of like 21,000, or you're looking at 10K guys, it makes that decision fairly simple in my mind. I think that alone is going to have Rory higher up than Scheffler. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think those guys come in pretty similar in like large field stuff, and I think this kind of goes into I'd say a lot of your thoughts are going to be the large field, and that's what this ownership's built around. And a lot of what I've been looking at this week is more of like the I guess most weeks would be like the single entry type stuff, just focusing on this larger contest. I mean, ownership is going to like condense even more on some of these players and go away from some of these. And looking around the industry at some of the small field types of ownerships and stuff, and seeing where the steam is at, like Rahm could get to like somewhere in the 40s, somewhere with where like Colin was at the Players or something like that. I think it's very similar. I think you're going to have like Fitzpatrick, Minwoo. I mean, all those guys are going to be like even higher. And what that does at the top, just talking about the Scotty and Rory, in the smaller field stuff, I think those guys are going to come in like 7-8% on, probably, if that. Like Scotty might be 5% in this 33. Does that mean I'm going to play him? No. I'm not playing him on either team. I just don't like – I mean, like what we talked about the other day, the team just doesn't – I don't like what it makes you have to do with the rest of your team. So Rory's a different story, though. I mean, if he comes in 6, 7, somewhere in that range percent owned, I don't see what's wrong with his form outside of the back injury. He seems really loose coming into this, just the way he's talking and things. I'm hearing a lot of reports that he's like just striping the ball in practice rounds from some people that have been there and watching him. And I think there's just the weight off his back. Maybe he's kind of starting to feel that now. We kind of talked last year a lot of like maybe once he got this off his back, he would just run on and do great things the rest of the year. I think that could come back this week, and it's a huge discount off of Scotty. Yes, it's more restrictive than John Rahm, but we're talking about 6 versus 45% ownership between those two guys. That is incorrect. And I may play. I love Rahm this week. Don't get me wrong, but I may play one Rory start, one Rahm start, and see what we can do from there. But like I said, it's more of my discussion is going to, your ownerships. I think they look very what they're going to be, especially the rankings of where those people are. Just, depends on what type of contest you're playing. There's a lot of really good contests. I guess they're all full at this point, like the single entry stuff. The $33 was a good one this week. The 200's always a good one. At the bigger tournaments, the $12, I don't know if it's full yet, but it's a good one. But in any of those contests that aren't mass multi-entry, you're going to have like people like Rom get even higher than what you've got, but in like the $10 milli, I think these are really in line with kind of where they're going to be.
Yep. I know, like for cash games, for me, I'm just showing the contests here as you were talking about them to see kind of what's left. You got that Georgia Peach, 50K to first. That's still up there. It's looking like it's got about 8 to 8,500 more spots open. The $12 single entry is going to fill up probably in the next hour here. Then they got another
Yeah,
one
get
loaded
in
up. But
that one. That's a good one for sure. So everybody needs to hop in that one. That's
that's the best single entry. That's my favorite single entry out there. I mean, we're looking at
yeah,
10,000 for first, 5 for seconds, pretty spread out, pretty even payouts as well. Min cash, and you are doubling
is
up
double.
at
Yeah.
just inside 2,000 people. So yeah, that's a
Yeah.
really good one. Definitely get in there. For cash games, I could see a lot of lineups kind of flow with exactly what we're seeing with these four guys with Rom, Shoffley, Fitzpatrick, and Lee. A lot of cash lineups with that four core right there. And for cash, I don't mind it at all. From there, it's a pretty balanced lineup. You're
Yeah.
going to be able to pretty much pick anything. But yeah, for GPP now, what I'd like to do is just kind of switch it and sort by price here and look at some guys that are maybe projecting a little bit lower, who down in some of these ranges we talked about, maybe picking your guys up top, going with 2 or 3 of those guys in that 9K range, and then kind of, like you said on when we did the preview show, separating elsewhere from the pack. Like it looks like Brooks is going to be a little bit lower owned with McIntyre, Fitzpatrick. We talked about that there as well. Victor Hovland, I think I agree with that. Probably even lower on Victor. I think I'm guessing he may even be down in that 6 to 8% range with just all the guys that are at the top here. I don't think Colin's going to be the only one that's going to be super low owned. And then coming down here a little bit, like Justin Thomas, he could end up being a little bit lower as well. Spieth and Lowry there. Is there anyone in this? Let's just say up to let's just say the 8K range, even the 75 to 8, that you're the chalk that you don't want to play with some guys possibly that you will pivot off of.
Yeah. So I think for me, like I mentioned, I'm kind of leaning on maybe a Rory start on one, Rom start on the other. If I start with Rom, like Fitzpatrick is completely out of that lineup for me. I'm not starting with two guys that could be like 75% ownership combined in a single entry or in a smaller field contest. The rest, like Fleetwood, I think he's a really good play. Cam Young, I've loved all week. I'm not going to get off of him. The ownerships that I'm seeing on Reed are really interesting in the smaller field stuff, even lower than what you've got there, and I think that is correct. I think he's going to come in somewhere around 15 in like the larger field stuff, like what you have, and then probably down around 10 in the others. I really like him with the conditions that we've got. And then like Spieth, I think is fine. Yeah, you mentioned Brooks. I mean, like completely unowned in the large field or in the small field stuff. I mean, I'm seeing like
Sub 5%.
3%. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know that I can get there. But it's at least interesting. And like you said, it's more about like how you construct and which of these guys you play together. Because McIntyre is honestly not as high as I thought he was going to be. When I look around, I thought he would be neck and neck with Fitzpatrick, but he's not going to be. I mean, I'm seeing 15% lower in like the smaller field stuff, which is pretty interesting. So I like him a lot more than Fitzpatrick. But yeah, that's pretty much just range for me. Just kind of decide. Like if I play Rory, I'd be much more apt to play someone other than Reed. But I kind of like a Rom Reed start with some of these.
We got Bob asking me a question here. We got where are you getting the ownership figures from for the smaller slates?
Yes, I like ETR is a good one. They split those out, and and they do that pretty much every week. So that's one of the ones that I look at for that.
Kind of looking at this mid range for me, one I'm looking at like Minwoo Lee. I do agree there. He's coming in with excellent form. Two of those last 3 years, he hasn't really, it's been underwhelming performances for him. I think Connors might gain some more. Just his course history alone, with 4 top 10s in the last 6. He knows how to play around here. He's coming in with good form. The only thing is his putter always, but he seems to always figure that out around here. Um, if his ownership is going to be that, I'm definitely going to have more Connors than Lee. I don't know what you're seeing there with just those two, and I think one of the reasons why we see McIntyre a little bit lower is once we get down here from like the 8,500 down to the 7,500 range, I think a lot of people just in that ownership projection area and all the talk in the industry kind of really comes down to Minwoo Lee, Siwoo with his start to the year and his pretty I would say it's pretty positive course history for him. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he popped for a top 10. After his experience here, he only missed the cut in his very first trip here. And then you got Patia, who I really like. He doesn't have that course history, so I think he may even come in where Connors is, and maybe Connors and Patia are maybe flip flop there a little bit. What are you seeing kind of in that very condensed little area of Connors, Patia, Kim, and Lee?
I'm muted. I think you're pretty much right on with what you have, and again, it's just like the Bob. Also, what you're thinking, like you don't necessarily have to go out and get these ownerships. It's like just kind of intuitively, the guys who are super popular, just add percentage to them in the larger field, and some of these guys that are people aren't really wanting to play, just kind of move them down. But like that was one I wanted to get your thoughts on, was Corey Connors. Like if you look at, I'm like stunned by both his ownership, his odds are super high compared to like, and that's why everybody's playing Minwoo over Connors. But I'm seeing like 6 or 7% ownership on Connors in small field versus 35, even maybe as high as for Minwoo. Like I don't understand that, but the sportsbook odds back it up, to be honest. I just don't think I agree with it. Like I don't know, like Pinnacle has Connors. I haven't done an update tonight, but earlier today around 100-1, where Minwoo's under 40. Like I don't agree with that big of a difference. I mean, Corey Connors is not playing awful golf. 2 straight top 15s. Great history here. 4 top 10s. 4
the
top
irons
10s
look
at
amazing
Augusta.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you pull up Minwoo, like obviously his results are a little better, and he has more upside with the driver, probably more upside with the putter. His irons are spotty here and there, but they've drastically improved. That's why everybody's playing him, though. But you see a lot of that whole range that you just talked about, like Henley down to Connors. I knew like somebody would maybe drop off a little bit because all those guys can't get like super chalky. But I didn't expect the guy with the best course history and not playing that bad of golf to drop off. So I really like Connors at that drastic of an ownership discount when I get into that range. And then I'm seeing Akshay is the second lowest on of that whole 5-man group right there. So I like him. But I would rank I think this is really important this week. All 5 of these guys I don't think are going to fail. And I think you're going to need exposure here. And I rank them Connors, Siwoo would be number 2, Akshay, Minwoo, Henley would be the way I rank those 5. But yeah, I like those quite a bit.
I think I'm Connors. Actually, I'm probably Batia, Connors, Minwoo, Siwoo, and then Russell Henley. And then very close to that, within the same range here, Hosgaard, Nikolai, as well. But I agree with you that if Connors is going to be half the ownership, that's a situation where I'm not going to totally fade Minwoo by any means. but I may up my Connors exposure and lower my Minwoo exposure because, like you said, this is like the most predictable event that we see all year. And Corey Connors comes back with like really, really good course history here, 4 top 10s. Minwoo hasn't had a top 10 here yet. So I just think because of that alone, like you said, Connors isn't playing bad. He's gained strokes on approach in 3 straight. The ball striking's been there because he's added the off the tee. He's gained, when you look at his stats, they're around the green, the putting are really what hold him back from winning more on tour, being more of an elite player if you wanted to go that route. He's gained strokes around the green in 3 of his last 4 and putting in 2 of his last 4. And the one that he lost strokes, it was .04. That was at the Valspar at T14. So I just think Connors should be higher owned, and that's why I thought that Connors and Batia would maybe be flip flop. But if you're seeing kind of the same thing around the industry there as well, I just think I'm going to up my Connors exposure a little bit, and then Hosgaard kind of as well in that 10 to 12% range. I think I really like both of those guys in my GPPs. I'm still going to play Minwoo, I think, in cash. He fits really good. The way I went, I started with so far, I've got Rom and Shoffley together, and kind of in that top tier. And then I went Connors and Minwoo actually together. That would be my 4-man core that I got, and then I played that same 4-man core 2 more times, so 3 total in GPP, and just kind of mixed it around. And then that's when for my GPP that started kind of going off the board a little bit. I really like Cam Young, like you talked about, building some Cam Young, go some bombers and form, and some course history in there as well. So like Cam Young and DeChambeau, I like putting together at the start, and then kind of going down the board. Now, first round leader, before we do that, I want to go back down to the bottom tier before we wrap up the ownership talk here a little bit. We talked about Mav Neely a little bit, Adam Scott, so that's kind of turned out the same way that we talked. We thought they'd be very popular. Mav McNeely's been bet up quite a bit. I updated the odds right before we came on here, and he's already down to plus 6,600. So he's one of the biggest movers of the week. Harris English just down today, plus 81 or plus 8,000. Hosgaard's got bet up a ton here as well. So I think that ownership could maybe rise a little bit just based on, seeing those odds come in and change a little bit. JJ Spawn's getting some heat here, coming into the final day, and then kind of going a little bit lower. Same thing with Rasmus. I like him. You kind of got me on him and the preview show, 32nd in his first trip here. The form's been up and down, but I think he's more of a GPP, where you kind of put him in that, I'd say like 7,000 and below mix of say 5 or 6 guys that you're going to mix and match, so you don't really get too overexposed to these lower end guys with minimal or no course history. So I really like him. Kitayama is up there as well. He's got some experience here. Not the greatest, but we talked about coming from 2023 into 2024 was a huge improvement. I think he can, although he didn't play here last year, I think he can improve on that. And even like at his price for DFS, I think the top 25 is definitely in line, which would definitely put him on scope of a nice points per dollar tournament for him. Carlos Ortiz, he's got that 6.8. So there's your Ortiz there coming in with some nice live form. Matt McCarty around 5%. I like Sam Stevens and other guys. So pretty much the guys that we talked about down here in this range. So one pivot I like down here, we talked about Hao Tong Lee a little bit. So it looks like he's probably going to come in about half as much as some of these other guys that we talked about. So he's one that I'll be pivoting off to for sure. Possibly Brian Harmon. Some decent course history for a guy at 6,500, coming in with some decent form. He's popped with a couple top 20s in there in his last 5 events there as well. Is there anyone down in this range that you think maybe some of this chalk that we just talked about, like Ortiz, like is this getting too high where you're going to fade them or maybe lower your percentage to them? Or is it just a matter of, is there any guys that you think are going to be super low owned that you're going to be on that no one else is going to be?
So I think I have cooled on Ortiz a little bit. I don't like some of the things that I'm seeing with the way his like matchup odds are trending. I'm in the process of updating them right now, but a lot of things that I saw this morning were not good on him. I'm trying to see who he was matched up with, but I know. Let me see. Yeah. Oh, I've already updated him. So he was matched up with Wyndham Clark, who's like completely hated by the books this week, and they were like neck and neck. And I just updated that, and he is bumped. It's went 3% away from Ortiz, so they went from minus 108, both of them, to Wyndham is now minus 121, slight favorite over Ortiz. I just don't. I don't like things like that. And yeah, you've got it pulled up. I'm in the process of trying to get some of those updated, but I don't. Honestly, as of this moment, I think I'm going to go away from Ortiz. I think I like Brian Harman better. He's getting more of the move toward him in some of these matchups, and the outright odds are moving towards him. I don't know if I've updated Harman yet. Yeah, he got a move
2.3%
from the opening. Yeah, from the opening of that line with Homa, which I don't really like Homa either. So do that with what you will. But he also got a bump from. He was like on Pinnacle Monday. He was 275 to 1. He's now 235 to 1. So a slight increase there. I like him. Some of the other guys down there, Kitayama, I'm still on. I'm seeing him getting closer to 10% though in small field stuff, but I don't think I'm going to let that. I'll probably have him on one of my two teams this week. Another guy, I know you like Stevens down there. Another guy like this is probably more of like for the $10 or something like that, but a guy who's getting quite a bit of love with where his outright odds are on Pinnacle and like Bookmaker, what I consider some of the sharper books that probably take a lot more action and don't have the limits and things. Where his odds are sitting is Christopher Wrighton. I think I'm saying that right. He is at, as of this morning, he was 226 to 1, which is better than anybody below Sam Stevens. But for 6,300, that's pretty good. He's kind of right there with Pot Geeter, who I just don't think I can do it. That guy, I just can't do the around the green stuff. I can just see myself like having a conniption on thinking of tracking that all week. But
you won't want to watch him.
Yeah. So my favorites in the sixes, and I think this would be Kitayama, Harman, Rasmus, and I'm seeing him as like unowned as well. I think that's pretty interesting. Harry Hall, Michael Kim, and Ortiz. I think that would kind of be the group that I would even have any thinking of. What about anybody that you hate in that group, or anybody outside of that you love?
No, I'm pretty on that group as well. I don't have any Michael Kim yet, but I'm I really like the way he's playing. He's 27th last year, so it's someone I'm going to be on. You're going to didn't Aaron Rye win the par 3 contest, so he's like just avoid. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's narrative week. We got to follow those narratives.
Yeah. So like the low sevens is like almost a similar to the upper group. Like you got Nikolai, you got Bridgman, you got Knapp, you got English, Scott, Spawn, McNeely. Like all those guys, I think there's enough of them that they're not going to get really, really high, any of them. But I'm seeing like small field stuff, McNeely is going to be the highest out of that whole group. I'm going to avoid 25% on Maverick McNeely. And I'm going to play Harris English, who's going to be the lowest of that entire group I just mentioned. Nikolai, like you talked about. Scott, I really like him. Bridgman, I think he can play well here, even on his first attempt. And then a guy kind of off the board in that range is Sam Burns. I think he's okay here.
I was just going to ask you about him. That's weird.
Yeah, I think he's fine. He's he shows up to big events. He don't really have the history here yet, but I don't think he's playing that bad of golf. So
I think the thing with him, the reason I haven't been on, I love the putting. Putting's always super solid with him. He's really cheap. I like it here. He's going to be under-owned. It's the around the green, I think, is the thing that he's struggled with the most at the Masters, is just figuring out that around the green, because his around the green game isn't great. So maybe it took 4 tries to, on his 5th try, he's going to, maybe if he figures that part of Augusta out, maybe he can come in. And he hasn't been trending very good around the green. So that's kind of what scares me. He's lost strokes in 5 of his last 6 around the green. And the putting hasn't really been up to his standards by any means, kind of very up and down as well. So that alone kind of has me off of him. But if we're talking large field stuff where we're playing 20 or more lineups, that's definitely a guy I'm probably going to get, because I do think he's going to fall below that 5% just with those other guys around. Bridgman, I don't know if I'm going to go that route. It's kind of Bridgman or Knapp for me is kind of what I broke it down to myself. And for me, it is Knapp. He does have that one. It's only 1 year of experience. He did make the cut, which I like to see. They're both coming in hot here, but I do like the around the green for Knapp. They're both elite putters, so the short game's really good. I just see Knapp being just a little bit better of a play myself, so I do have some Knapp in there. Cam Smith, we didn't really talk about. He's got really good course history. Last year stuck, but he's got good course history. He had pretty good live form coming in. Really not what we'd like to see, thinking that he's maybe one of the top players. He was one of the top players when he left to go to live. But that's kind of faded away now. Like he's in 7,500 range, where he was probably in that mid 8 to 9K range not that long ago here. He's got that really good course history. I don't know if I'm going there yet, but I'm really truly considering his around the green. That's a guy who's elite around the green. That's what's really carried his course history here. It's just he's very creative. He's also a good putter in there as well. But as you can see here, and these are live stats, he is the ball striking has just been absolutely terrible. He's been making up for it with the around the green and the putting. Can that work here at Augusta again? I don't know. But kind of like Sam Burns, I think I'll probably have in that same sort of leverage play range. Cam Smith, probably where I'm going to go over Burns. So you kind of got Burns, I got Cam Smith. Maybe a little side bet there on those two.
Yeah, I think I'd be in on that. It's like the Cam Smith stuff. I mean, this type of conditions probably fits him, but gosh, he's like so hard to watch all week too. Like he's like one of those I feel like every time I play him, he's like so out of position on every single hole. And even if he hits a good drive, it's like, is the next iron shot going to go 20 yards to the right? And then it's like, he's probably going to get it up and down like half the time. But
I just want to see him hit a 3-wood out of the bunker again.
Yeah. Real quick, I do have, as I'm just kind of updating this sheet, there are a couple notable moves, and they both involve Ludwig. So I'm seeing the market move away from Ludwig on 2 matchups. Fleetwood, Ludwig was minus 102 versus minus 114. Now it's plus 110, Ludwig minus 129 for Tommy. And the other one is a very slight move towards Xander at minus 128 to minus 133. So I think the Tommy one is significant enough.
So that round 4 stuff is, I think that has a lot to do with
Yeah.
kind of getting away from that. If you're going to bet Ludwig this week, bet him in the first 3 rounds.
And then Rahm went like even heavier over Bryson. That was the other one. So he went from minus 141 against Bryson to minus 160 on Pinnacle.
That's a pretty big one. But that flipping of that other one, that was Auburn and who? Fleetwood. Seeing that
Fleetwood, yeah.
That flipped big time towards Fleetwood. Like that's a big one.
Yeah.
So pay attention to that. One more thing I want to go over here. We're at the 35-minute mark. I just want to go over a couple of first-round leaders that I'm looking at that I broke down. So what I'm going to do here, we're going to sort by round 1 scoring average over here, and just look at some of these guys that have been awesome in the first round so far this year, and see if there's anyone that kind of cross-references with guys that did good at Augusta. And a few guys that kind of stood out to me. First of all, we got Batia for me, and we're going to look at that. He's 69.4, so he is down what do we got there? 23rd in terms of first round scoring so far this year. But when he comes here, his two Masters were par in 2024 in round one and then -2. And then I've also got Corey Connors. We already talked about him. I really like what he's done. He's been under par in 3 of his last 4 first rounds at the Masters outside of that missed cut year in 2023. So I do like to see that. And then him for first round so far this year, he's averaging 70. So, I mean, he's above average 35th rank in this field. But I definitely like that. And then a couple other guys, I really like Bryson. He's been at the Masters here 69 and 65 the last 2 years after struggling hardcore in round one early in those events. I think he was trying to maybe overpower the course a little bit too much. I think he's matured a lot coming back to the Masters. And I think he's going to be right up like 2 really good finishes the last 2 years, but they started very strong with 65 and 69. So he's one that I definitely like in terms of first round leaders, showdown player pool. He's in there as well. And then one down in the low range, if you're looking to build kind of maybe like a stars and scrubs lineup, would be Ryan Fox. He was 2 under par and 3 under par in his 2 Masters in the first round, so he wasn't phased. And I looked at quite a few guys just to kind of see like the first timers when it comes to first round leaders. When it comes to showdown, I'm not playing any of the guys that are debutants because it's going to take time. It'll be very rare to see one of those guys come out and have a really good solid first round in their first trip to Augusta. I just don't see that happening. And Alberg, yeah, that stands out with Alberg as well. He's one that was definitely going to be on my list. Matt Fitzpatrick was another one. He went 1 under, 1 under, 2 under, 1 under. So 4 straight years of really solid first rounds. And I think while that may not seem, normal tournaments, we're looking for guys in the 65, 66 range to kind of fit that narrative. This is the Masters. So anything under par, I think, is a solid play in terms of maybe not first round leader material, but maybe in terms of your showdown player pools and stuff like that. So that's kind of the way I'm going with my first round leaders. Are you playing any first round leader stuff this week? Like I'm looking at some odds, like Fitzpatrick plus 2,900. Don't mind that at all. Auburn 2,500 in here. DeChambeau plus 1,800. That's getting up there for me. I'll put a little bit on that probably. But as we go down and look at some of those other guys like Fox, not that I think Fox is going to be first round leader, but plus 8,200 in there. But some of these top guys that we can probably consider in terms of first round showdown, Fleetwood plus 3,200. Justin Rose has been really good here at Augusta in the first round. So I'll be looking at him there as well. I think you can just kind of collectively fit 4 or 5 guys in there because the odds are a little bit better. But is there anyone that stands out to you first round leaderboard or showdown for the first round that you're playing?
Yeah, well, I probably honestly won't be playing first round showdown, but yeah, I mean, let me see if I could pick what my favorite out early runner, or not early in terms of tee time, just first round in general. I kind of like Knapp, Højgaard. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Fox. I could see that for sure. There's one more that I kind of thought would be.
Alberg, I know.
What about Jordan Spieth?
Yeah, that's definitely viable. In terms of first round leaders here, I looked at the last 5 years first round leader strokes gained total. He is ranked down quite a bit. He's 43rd in strokes gained total over the last 5 years at Augusta. So I don't know if that means anything to you, but a couple other guys that kind of stand out in terms of first round strokes gained total. I'll kind of give you the top 10 over the last 5 years. Scheffler, obviously, at the top. Justin Rose right behind him at number 2 spot. Victor Hovland kind of surprised me to see his name pop. Really good in first round, so he may be a sneaky first round leader. Corey Connors is right up there. Cam Smith, Ryan Fox, Tyrrell Hatton, Shane Lowry, Alberg's in there at 9th, and then Matt Fitzpatrick 10th. So, if I'm building a card for my first round leader, I want guys that are doing good in first round so far this year, but especially looking at the course history in the first round leader strokes gained total when it comes to Augusta itself, because it's, as we know, this is a one off. this week. So any of those guys that I mentioned that are in that kind of top 10 range in terms of the strokes gained total at Augusta for the last 5 years, I could probably go and just bet three of them, picking off that list in the model that I got set up. And that kind of fits in not just strokes gained total overall, but like look at the tee to green and then look at the putting as well. Like one that kind of I won't be on is Tyrrell Hatton. While he's seventh in strokes gained total in the first round over the last 5 years, he is 49th in putting, 37th in short game. So that's kind of one that I'll kind of avoid there as well, and just kind of start breaking down their form coming in. So, yeah, that's the way we're looking at it from first round leader perspective. One more thing I wanted to ask you to get your take on, because I've seen it trending quite a bit, is Tommy Fleetwood using a 9-wood this week to try and hit those um, long approach shots and get them to stick on these firm and fast greens. What do you take from that?
Yeah, I like it. I like.
Are you going to buy a 9-wood next week if he wins?
If the course that I played was firm and fast all the time, maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like the, just the general, thought that he's already, having of he needs it coming in softer into the green. So I think he sets up really well with how, his ball flight and how he controls, his shots and the way they fly into these greens. I think he's got the right idea for sure. Do have a couple last line moves that were noticeable as I finalized that. Scheffler was only minus 145 against John Rahm. He went to minus 163. So that was, that might have just been mispriced to start with. That one, those two at the very bottom came out late on Pinnacle for whatever reason. The other one was McIntyre. So I mentioned like McIntyre's ownership is kind of trended down through the week, and now he went pretty high over Rose compared to what he was. So kind of definitely, I said it earlier, I like McIntyre a lot more than Fitzpatrick personally right now, but I think I'm at current ownership numbers, I'm starting to come back into the McIntyre stuff a little bit, even in the mid 20s. What do you have him at?
I also like seeing McIntyre, become this only a slight more favorite over Minwoo Lee throughout the week. They are pretty close. They're pretty close in price there too. So that really has me really rethinking Minwoo Lee a little bit. And I will use this data. Thank you for putting this together this week, because I have put some of this into my calculation for the projections just to kind of see where people, because when we see these lines move big time, like some of these guys, it normally just meaning the market is coming in a lot on that player, a lot of money coming in on that player. So those odds are adjusted. Well, that means that they're going to be very popular. I know it's the betting market, but comparing that betting market versus, so if you're doing like a 1v1 for some of these guys, definitely use this tab on the cheat sheet. It's right by the playbook. And that playbook will almost fully updated. I've got the rankings up. I've got the showdown for round one up. I've got top bets. I've got DK cash core. I've got DK GPP core up. One final thing I want to do here. What do we got? If you guys want to check this out, feel free to. Yes, please share whatever you got there. I'll be sure to make sure to see that. We're just going to wrap up here. One thing I want to do with you, Dane, before we go is we're going to build a lineup on DraftKings together. I'm going to let you go first, and we're just going to alternate and go through. And we'll just kind of adjust as we go and how we build this lineup. And I'm going to run it, and we're going to talk about it next week when we become a giant winner and we split all the money. So you go first.
Let's what are we building for? Like a large GPP, I guess, like $10, $1, whatever it is, or $3. Let's go with the. Let's start out with the Rory build. Let's see what we can do with the Rory start.
Okay, we're going to start up there. I would like to go. I just want to see what that's going to leave us with Cam Young and that 73 range. I'm going to go down because he's going to be probably a little bit lower on. That's where I'd like to fit Fitzpatrick in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good. That is like the perfect. Like I said earlier, if I start Rahm, like Fitzpatrick's a complete X, but when I or when I start Rory, Fitzpatrick comes back into play, like at least as a consideration.
Great mind.
Yeah. So I guess we need somebody cheap. I mean, like Kitayama is like definitely my favorite 6K guy. Depending on like if we need what does that get us back up to if you throw him in there?
76. That puts us right in that range of those 5 guys we talked about with Minwoo, Connors, and
Yeah, so like this is where with Rory you can go like a few different ways. Like yes, it handcuffs you, but that's why he's going to be much lower owned. Like you could even play if you wanted to. You could play another 6K guy and then one of the low sevens and skip the uppers, or you can play like a lower sevens, like a Adam Scott, a Harris English, somebody in that range, and then just play 2 of the upper sevens and round it out that way if you do it there. After the Kitayama, or you can even do it without. Yeah, you could do it without Kitayama. Like you could play Scott and English or whatever it is, and that gets you back up into that other range where we can play. I think we're going to want Connors on this team.
Connors. I like that pick.
And then I don't think it matters like anything we do with ownership at this point. So
no, we're already off.
We got Fitzpatrick, but the Rory Connors to combo is like that's the type of low ownership stab I want to take. So 73 is what we got.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking towards. I'm just looking at the cheat sheet here, quick. On the other tab. Oh, I almost want to go McNeely. We're right there in that range. I know. As soon as you said we don't have to worry about ownership as much anymore with Rory and Connors in there, I really wanted to go McNeely, so that's the route I'm going to go.
Yeah.
It leaves us 74, so this is a nice range, very balanced after Rory and Fitzpatrick. I like it. It's the way this is lining up.
You can do like Højgaard English or Højgaard Scott with that last finish. You can do basically anything in the low sevens, and we still got one of those upper sevens, but we skipped all the chalk guys in that range too, which is where we took Connors and Rory. But if you fill out the rest of this team, like Fitzpatrick, the rest of that team's not super low owned, but we did it the right way. Like we took the leverage with 2 spots. Like this is what we talked about Monday. We didn't have ownership, or Tuesday, I guess, whatever day it was.
Earlier this week.
Earlier this week. I guess it was Monday. We didn't have ownership at that point, but what we talked about and how to construct a team of, if you start, with the 2, don't want to just completely fade chalk all the way through, because some of these guys are good plays. All this chalk's not going to just bust. They're all good plays for a reason. So we got Connors and Rory, who are the low owned, guys here. And then you got Fitzpatrick, who's going to be chalky. McNeely's going to be chalky. And then Højgaard and English kind of in the mid-range. So, yeah.
I just had a late question here. Yeah, what are your thoughts?
With Sanjay, yeah. I think there's just too many others in the sevens for me to hop in. Great history here. I just don't really know about his form, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I was just kind of looking at his form now, just like recent form, and yeah,
super up and down.
Yeah, around the green's been great, but the ball striking has been terrible. Like it's just he's kind of been all over the place, either gaining on off the tee and losing on approach, or gaining on approach and losing on off the tee. It's nice to see that around the green is coming around there as well, but I don't know.
He hasn't played much, really.
No, he hasn't.
That was weird. He didn't play from October to March. Like, was he injured? Did he have an injury?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah, he played that May Current Classic in October 11th and then didn't play again until the start of March. And he went cut T4, T60. So one spike round at the Valspar where he did very good.
Yeah, so, I mean, the 2 missed cuts, I can at the Players and Arnold Palmer, I can excuse coming off an injury, and then a great spike week at Valspar, but kind of fell right back
Putter
off.
and the ball striking went away at the
It's
Houston
just
Open.
the irons, like for him, wrist injury, which explains the irons from last year. I think I obviously think he figures this out. I mean, this guy was one of the best ball strikers in the world, for a long period of time. And so the wrist injury obviously explains that. It's almost like the Spieth thing where he was, talked about how it was kind of weird for him he was always wondering what the wrist was going to do when he hit the ground, which when you got like a worry like that, your ball striking is going to fall off. But I just don't know that he's back and in form enough coming to where he needs every, facet to do it here. And he's always played well from what I remember in Florida at like places like the Valspar. I don't know if that specifically. I know he played good this year, but historically, I think he's played well in Florida, so that was probably a comfy spot for him. This is too. He's played well here. I just don't think I can do it with all the other plays that we've got. Like same price Nikolai, same basically price Bridgman, Knapp, English, Scott, McNeely, just above Minwoo, Connors, Akshay, Siwoo. Like, I just think there's too many.
It's definitely a deep GPP leverage play, if anything. Like, I agree. Coming into like the toughest course you're going to play, especially around the green and stuff, I want to see more form than 4 tournaments and more than just one event where he finished better than T60. It was nice to see that one spike week. You had a really good point there with the comfortability in Florida. Comfortability in Florida is a little different than the comfortability at the Masters. I think you just need a little bit more form coming in. So very long-winded on Sungjae. I hope we give you some insight there onto what we think, but we're kind of both off Sungjae. Just like to see more form coming in. And at that price, I think we need more than back end of the field come Sunday type thing when some of these other guys I think have a little bit more upside. But I wouldn't fault you if you go for him because of the comfortability here. Like I said, four of his trips here were 16th or better with 3 top 10s and a runner-up in 2020. So he knows how to get around this course mentally. It's just a matter of whether his game is there right now, and I don't feel that it is. So thanks for the question. This was awesome doing this live show. Thank you for everyone.
If you want, real quick, we could do give the example. We gave the Rory example, but why don't we give like a quick ROM build example as to our kind of thought process of like where we had Rory and we were okay going to Fitzpatrick, but if we start with ROM, like maybe let's talk through where we would do differently, because I think ROM is a good play. Just you gotta watch this ownership in the starts. Like Xander ROM is like that's another combo I'm out on. I'm not gonna do it to start with. But
I did it for cash.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. So like ROM, you have that. This is why he's going to get played. Is you have like so much more salary when you do this, and let me pull up the ownership real quick. Yeah. So like I don't even think you have to get. I'm not saying you have to play ROM and then like one of the low-owned, high-priced guys. I'm just saying like don't play the super high-owned guy with ROM at the top. So, yes, I think Cam Young falls into that range of he's the second tier of ownership behind ROM, Xander, and Fitzpatrick from 85 and above.
Yeah.
He falls into that Fleetwood, Young, McIntyre, Hideki is like the next tier, and Ludwig. That's the next tier. So the 5 days ago, this is the start I wanted. Cam Young, ROM, and it probably still is going to be one of my starts, to be honest. From here, when you have ROM, you can play. This is the difference in the Rory team is like you can jam in like Patrick Reed. with this team. And then you have 3 and you still have 72. So like you don't even have to go into the 6s if you don't want to. But I like the Kitayama, like that's probably going to be, my core is those 4, honestly. One of my starts is going to be Rahm, Cam Young, Reed, Kitayama, and then you can see what you can do. You got let's just talk through the ownership and all right, how would you fill out the rest of this? You got 30, depending on the contest you're in, 30 some, 40% Rahm, Cam Young in the 20s, Reed 10 to 15, Kitayama 8 to 10.
5 teams.
Yeah, so if that. And then, all right, so I don't think I think this type of build still would X out Minwoo for me personally.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
It this is where Connors comes in. Again, love Connors in this build. You get the 6% on, and then you got, you got complete choice of Adam Scott, Harris English, JJ Spawn, Mav McNeely. Like that's the team. That's going to be one of my 2 teams right there, landing in that last 2 in the 7. So then what we've done is we played a lower owned Reed at the top compared to the rest. We skipped the other mega chalk pieces. We got Young is also, around 20, but then we drop into under 10 for Kitayama, around 10 for Reed, 10 to 15 for Scott, or whoever in that range is basically all the same. And Connors is sub 10 as well. So I think we took the right amount of, leverage pieces with it. But we, didn't go way completely off the board just because we had John Rahm.
Yep, I agree. Kind of gives you those levels of ownership like we're talking about, where once you get away from, like you said, not combining Rahm and Shoffley, because if you go and combine Rahm and Shoffley, I ran into this with my very first lineup because that was my cash build, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that cash lineup like I always do in GPPs as well, but now I also want a couple iterations of that Rahm Shoffley lineup, and once you start doing that, you really, like one of my lineups, I started going to like Rahm, Shoffley, Batia, Connors, McNeely. I'm like, that is way too much chalk, and I had to really start splitting it up, and that's where you really got to pivot off, so you're not just a full chalk lineup. So,
I guess theoretically you can do it. It's not, even though it's going to be the most popular, doesn't mean it's necessarily just wrong because of that.
Right.
But
very good point.
You definitely got to play like maybe you do that and you do 2 6Ks. Like, you're going to get away from ownership at that point. Just don't do like Rahm, Xander, Fitzpatrick. Like 3 together is completely off the table, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't care what you play with it. It's not about, like, you can go and then play a couple 2% on plays, sure, but it's more about, like, all right, then you're looking for the diamond in the rough play at 1 or 2%. And on top of that, how does that get to the top? The only way that team gets to the top is if those 2% on guys crush, because you're fighting against so many people. Whereas to me, and that's where more of like the Rory team comes in, I would rather have a completely different construction where I do pay up more for Rory, even though everybody's like, you're spending $1,600 more or whatever the exact number is. I would rather have a different construction, and then I'm skipping certain ranges because of that on top of the ownership. So when certain people fail, you can also move to the top. And when Rory, it's not necessarily that Rory has just has to play well for that team, because Rahm can play just as good, but it's more about you're on a different construction as well than the Rahm team. So let's just say Rahm and Rory tie. I kind of, even though there's more of a price difference, I honestly, to me, like the idea of having a different construction than fighting against so many with the other, even though having 1,600 and or whatever 1,600 and tying, you would rather have ROM straight up, but then you're fighting against 40 other percent of the field, and I would rather have 6% have the same team and just be on a different level of construction because there'll be some teams that just aren't built to me the right way. So I think I'd rather outdo people with construction than outdo them with just trying to hit on a 1% on play.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, thank you to everyone that came in tonight. These live shows on Wednesdays, I think, are going to be something that we continue on, at least for the majors and some of the signature events and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. The preview show will still come each and every week on Monday or Tuesday. And then the sheet, if you're looking for a copy of the sheet, there's anyone here that isn't a part of Jagerbombs Fantasy Sports, you want to get a copy of our sheet, all the different information is on here, which you can see even more of that. You maybe only seen a glimpse of it tonight. Go back and check out, like I said, on our channel, you'll find the preview show. We kind of go over a little bit more, looking at the course history, current form, and that sort of stats profiles, and players that fit those profiles. The live show is going to be more talking first round leaders, talking about big time on ownership and how we can leverage our lineups, large field GPPs, small field GPPs, large dollar, small dollar, and just how those really differ from the lineup build. And Dane touched on that a lot tonight, and that made so much sense. So I hope you guys got something from this. And again, if you want to copy the cheat sheet, head over to patreon.com/Jagerbombs, and you can get PGA package $15 a month. And if you use promo code Masters10 up until I think the next hour or so, you get 10% off. And then if you play multiple sports, we've got 10 or more sports going on with cheat sheets, Discord channels, news updates, stats analysis, picks, scores, ranks, you name it. $25 a month for the all sports package, and that promo code Masters10 will work for that as well. If you have any other questions leading up to the event, hit us up in Discord if you're a member. If not, you can also hit us up with comments in this video, and you can also hit us up on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. Dane, thanks for joining me. That's 2 shows this week that we've gone over an hour. How can you not win the Masters this year? I can't wait to hear hello friends in the morning, and just sit there and watch some Masters all weekend. Clear your calendars, everybody. It is time. It is Masters time. Good luck out there, and let's get some green screens, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Good luck, everybody.